Hello, everybody. Let's try that again.
Ooh, it says live in the corner.
Yes, I just did the whole countdown. And then I was like, why isn't it live? It's because I didn't hit go live. Good morning. Welcome to the Xamarin Community Standup. Good afternoon. I'm Maddy. I'm a program manager on the Xamarin team.
Sorry, echo. Keep going.
Oh, sorry. Where is everybody? We're right here now. Sorry. Should be back on Twitch. If you've been with us in the previous community stand-ups, we are rapidly iterating on how to do this in the times of 2020. And I almost got it down to a science, but we're real close. So we're here. We should be on the Xamarin YouTube, .NET Foundation YouTube, Xamarin Periscope, Visual Studio Twitch. I apologize if you missed the countdown, but very exciting. I have with me today David Ortnow. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello. Yes, I'm not muted. Good. Hey, David Ortnow, Principal Program Manager with Mobile Developer Tools, Xamarin, all the SDKs, all the fun stuff that hopefully everybody's using on a regular and daily basis. And I'm really excited to be here because we have such an awesome guest today, all the way from Ireland.
Yeah,
Theodora.
Yes. Hello. I am a student in my final year in Ireland, and I spent my summer building something in Xamarin because COVID canceled my internship. So here I am.
Amazing. Wow, you really made the most of it. I mean, most people like me, I just sat at home. But
yeah, COVID has canceled a lot of internships. My daughter is in her last semester of school, was meant to finish her program with an internship, but got married instead. So you could do that. Or write an app. You know,
I'm getting married in December, so
okay,
I'm there.
Ooh, congratulations!
Thank you.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even set you up for that.
That's great.
No, I didn't.
That'll be a good way to end this year. I think ended on a positive note will be very good. Cool. All right. I see people from all the streams are in now, despite my inability apparently to use technology. So it's very exciting. We're going to do things in the reverse order today. So we're actually going to let Theodora go first. She's going to talk to us about the app she built. There was a blog post on it in October. That's the link for it, if you're interested. So you can go read along, watch along. But she's got, I guess, some slides, and Dave and I will pepper her with the questions as we always do. So I'm gonna, whenever you're ready, let me know, and I'll put your screen on the stream.
Yeah, it should be fine now.
All right, add to stream. Here we go. Nice. College Diary app.
Yes. So during the summer, I built an app using Xamarin. Now, who am I? I'm studying software developer in Ireland, as I said. I just started my final year just a few days ago, and I had a different career path before starting this course. So I do not have experience at all. My summer internship got canceled because of the COVID pandemic, and I was devastated when they did that, because now in September, October, the graduate positions are opening, and I was lacking experience on my CV. So I started the project to add value to my resume, to develop the project, a project in public, and trying to deliver it by the end of the summer, which, thanks God, I did.
Okay. Oh, for sure. You definitely delivered it, so it's cool. It's out there.
I did. Now, why did I build the project? Again, because I needed to compensate the lack of experience. I need to gain new skills and new technologies, as most of my colleagues did. And I had an idea because over my first 3 years in college, I was keeping my records on spreadsheets, and they were very error prone and, of course, time consuming. So I decided to do a software from A to Z to solve a problem, my problem of keeping records everywhere, and to try technologies that I don't have experience with and mimic as much as I can an internship. Now, that's not very possible, but I tried very hard. So I did a mobile app that will track students' academic progress by inserting results from projects, tests, exams, and help students to better manage their time.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to pause you for a second. I think your slides are frozen. Or the presentation might not be shared. So if you want to unshare and then reshare,
Yes, absolutely.
that should
I will
work
do
in
that.
StreamYard.
That
Technology.
might be-
We're doing great
Yeah.
today. It's a Thursday. I need a nap. It's late for Theodora. It's like 6 p.m. It's 1 p.m. for me, and I'm already ready for bed. It's noon for Dave. I'm surprised you're not hangry.
I snacked before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
I had a little snack.
I did snack. Yes.
Cool.
Oh
I'm
my
looking at the code up here on GitHub so I can ask some technical
Oh,
questions.
sweet. Perfect.
So can you see
Yeah.
some technologies there? Okay.
That looks great.
Perfect.
So these are the technologies that I used, and I had experience with Visual Studio and Windows. That was the only experience that I had from college. So Xamarin was new, Syncfusion was new, Firebase, Git, GitHub, macOS, and Trello. So I use Xamarin, of course, because you can develop once and have it for all the platforms.
But who told you that? How did you know that?
Well, I didn't know, to be honest with you. I started with Android Studio, and then I tried React Native. And then a very dear friend of mine, Liliana O'Sullivan, who's a colleague of mine, was using Xamarin at her internship. And she was telling me how cool it is. So I said, I want to have a look, but it looked very scary. When you say one code for everything, it looks scary. So yeah.
Well, we need to send her a monkey and thank her for introducing you to Xamarin. That's for sure.
I know, we really do. That's awesome. So did you try, how far did you get with Android Studio before you were like, never mind?
I did a form to sign up, I think. That was it.
Yeah.
I like Java a lot. I didn't know how to use Android Studio. I needed experience, and it was, I don't know, tricky. So Xamarin was tricky too, don't understand me wrong. But when I found Syncfusion to help me build and controls and UI interfaces, it made my life really easy. So those are the first two technologies. Firebase, I used it because no SQL database. That's something that I didn't use before. In college, we did SQL. Git and GitHub, obviously, very popular version control tools used in the industry. macOS was a requirement. And again, Liliana gave me her laptop. Thank you so much for being my friend. And Trello, to manage the work, to manage the iterations, what I need to do, keep track of what I've done, what needs to be improved. So
nice.
Yeah, these were my technologies. Again, another reason that I didn't say anything is like Xamarin uses the C#, which is a backend language, and I'm very interested in logic and processing data. So I was very happy to be able to gain experience with the backend language. And Xamarin.Forms, at the beginning, I didn't know it's free if you're an individual. So I went around it and tried different calendars that were actually code that I imported to Xamarin, and I couldn't understand the code, and it was quite the journey. But then somebody told me, like, don't struggle. Syncfusion, it's free if you're an individual. So I tried that. So
yeah, and I think that's a recent development, right? Like within the past year, they did that, and we've seen so many people be like, "Ooh, Syncfusion's great." Like,
yeah, no, they've pretty much always had a free license. Depends, there's limitations, I believe, in terms of what you can use it for. But it's not necessarily the easiest thing to find, but it is there for sure. So that helped you a ton. What else was kind of catalyzed you or helped you get up and get going? Were you reading blogs? Was it mostly your best friend who gave you the laptop and now deserves at least 2 monkeys? Now she introduced you to Xamarin, and she loaned you her laptop. Were there other resources, blogs, things like that really helped you kind of get your head around things?
Well, first, before I met James, when he contacted me on Twitter, I was reading his blogs, because he has very many and very useful. Then I went on Facebook and I entered a group for Xamarin developers, and there was a very passionate developer called Himmelnet, who was my mentor. He's a senior in Xamarin, so how cool is that? He helped me a lot. And then the community, like Twitter and everybody, whenever I had the questions, developers were like, yeah, sure, no worries. Let's have a meeting on Zoom or on Teams and let's talk about it. So it was a nice experience because I met so many people and I get so much experience. So
that's
awesome.
so great. I wish people would Zoom me and help me with my job. You should start doing that, Dave. Like, hi, please, I need help writing a talk. Please, someone. I'm gonna start doing that.
Well, I didn't know how to do that, to be honest with you. I always thought that like you're alone in this world and you have to do things by your own. But on Reddit, I found a mentorship in America called Summer of Shipping by Philip Lyo from America. And he made a mentorship for people in my situation with their internships canceled. And there was a place where you could demo, and they were helping you how to build in public, reviewing your code. So because of him, I had the courage to ask for help, besides my friend Liliana. So it was, yeah, lots of hands from everywhere helped me.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah. Here is just a simple code, and I don't know how ethical it is this, okay? It might be very wrong what I did, but I needed to get some methods from other pages, to call some methods from other pages, and to make a method static. You know, you need all the variables to be static as well, so it's a lot of work in there. So I came with Liliana to an idea to make the page static, all of it, with all the methods and all the variables, and it worked. Now, I have no idea how ethical is that, if it's good practice or bad practice, but it worked.
Yeah, that's the key right there. Does it work? I mean, you can always start from something that works, and then you can learn when does it cause a problem, and when should you change to a different pattern. So I've always been a make it work first kind of developer, and then I go grab another developer who knows more than I do and say, hey, come help me make this better, right?
Yes.
So that's great. Good job.
Well, now that I gain more experience, I can see so many flaws in my app. I don't have the time to build a second version at the moment, but maybe when I finish my final year, I'll do better.
You never want to look back at code you wrote a year ago and think, that's awesome code. What have I been doing since then? You want to look back and say, oh, I could totally make this better.
Yes, and I can see that it's finished just a month, and I already can see that. So
cool.
Here is a small snapshot of how easy it is to implement a calendar with Syncfusion. It's just those lines of code. Now, there's no logic involved. It's just the front end control, but I think it's really cool. It's like a few lines of code, and there you have your calendar.
Calendars are very unique and hard to do. In my early days of doing Xamarin, I worked on 2 startup companies, and both of them were education-based and required calendars. And we wrote our own. And so I wish Syncfusion at that time had a calendar. That's awesome.
Yes, it was a very big help. Okay, now going to Firebase. I think I already said that. It's a NoSQL database, so I gained experience on this branch. They have the real-time database, which is also something different. They have secure authentication, and I can play with APIs, something that was just in theory in college, so it helped a lot. APIs scared me before just the name, so. Here is just a small snap of a code that it's for Firebase to communicate with the database. Just, a taste.
Cool. These slides are beautiful, by the way. I love whatever theme this is you use. And it matches really well with the theme of our stand-up theme.
It blends, yeah.
I didn't plan that. It was pure coincidence. Okay, GitHub and Git for version control and GitHub for building in public. It helped a lot. And of course, it's they're very popular in the industry, so I gain experience with that as well. And Git is not simple. So yeah. Here are my milestones. First of all, I didn't have experience with APIs, so they kept me stuck for days. User interface, as I said, I'm very attracted by processing data and logic, and I know interfaces, they need to be intuitive and simple and very attractive for the users. So without Syncfusion, I don't know if my app would be so beautiful. Platform-specific implementation was not very scary, but it was a new concept. I used interfaces to declare it in the shared project, and then different implementation using the interfaces for each platform. It wasn't very hard, but was very interesting. I never used interfaces before for the real world. And yes, binding. Now that was hard. I don't know why, but it just blew my mind for a while.
Which kind of binding are you referring to? Are you referring to data binding?
Yes, data with the page mapping.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, from the view models to the page. It was fine as long as the information wasn't dynamic. So if it was static, yeah, perfect, works. Now, if the information needs to change, which needs to change because the GPA is changing every time you insert a result or something, then I had problems understanding it. Now, it's easy peasy. I like it. Here is a small video. Oops, I think I need to go back one. I'm not sure. It's a small video of my app. The video is going slow, so users can see what's happening. I don't see anything happening, so of course on demonstration never works.
There you go.
Okay,
hit the play button.
now, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So this is my login page, which is done with Syncfusion, the forgot password page and the sign up page. Now, next, I am going to log into the app. It has some errors, some validations. I didn't demonstrate them in the video, but like if something is wrong, it would let the user know. This is the front page where you see all the GPA over all your projects and the next 7 days calendar events. This is the calendar. If you select a date, you'll see the events in that date, and you can add new events, delete, modify, wherever you would need to do. Here I'm adding an event. It's a Microsoft meeting, so a Microsoft presentation. You have the name of the event, which is going to show in the calendar, some description, a start date, end date, start time, end time, and you can select a color for your event. I have everything color coded for my courses, so it really helps. This is how you view an event. Now, if you go to the home page, the new event, if it's happening in the next 7 days, is going to appear there. Here are my subjects, actually my actual subjects from college this year, but I'm going to add a new one. Again, this form is doing a lot of validation, but for the purpose of the presentations, I didn't really make any mistakes to make things go like faster.
The perfect demo, right?
Yes, the perfect demo, exactly. I don't know if in America I have continuous assessment and final exam. Continuous assessment are projects and tests that are happening during the year. So you can have multiple continuous assessment during the year. You have a search for your list if you have a really long list. So this is how a subject looks. You have the subject name, the lecture name, email, which if you press on the email, you can actually send an email. It's gonna ask you what app you want to use to send the email. Now I'm going to add the final exam, a fictional one, and you are going to see the progress bar modifying, showing how you're doing. And you have in the list of the results any continuous assessment or final exam you're adding. I'm going to add the continuous assessment now. And again, the progress bar will change according to your results. And if we go back to the home page, you will see that the overall GPA has changed. Yep, it's taking a little bit longer.
Yeah, you have to be very methodical with your clicking.
Yeah. So there is 7.27 because I have, I don't know, 6 subjects over there or something like that. I'm going to delete the subject now because it was a fictional one. And if I'm going back to the home page, the GPA has changed again in real time. I really like how it's animating, how it's going a little bit more or less.
Yeah.
And here is about me page. So you can send an email to us or you can visit our Facebook page. So kind of that's the demonstration of how the app works. It's not doing a lot, but it's doing what I need it to do.
I think it's doing a ton. I was like, all right, I'll just, because I remember when I was in college, I would do the same thing with the Excel spreadsheet. That's literally like, okay, this class, this grade, this time. Okay, do some math. This is so much nicer. This would have been so much easier.
Yes, it is. Now you can download the app from Apple Store and from Google Play. It's not perfect. I didn't have the experience to make it perfect, but I promise a second version at some time for the future generations. So please be gentle with my app.
What was your experience in getting published to the app stores? Like, was one easier than the other? What was your experience? Yeah.
It was harder than I thought. Again, I did this with Liliana. Thank you so much for being in my life. I thought Apple is going to be harder, but Android was harder. And it was a whole chapter of development. I thought when I decided that this is the final version of the app, I said, I'm done. It wasn't done. So.
Wow. I'm actually surprised to hear that. Usually Apple is the one that everybody has the most trouble with, usually around certifications and code signing.
It was challenging. It was challenging, and I had to read a lot. But we did it, so it was good. In the end, it was good. I think it took us about 2 days to have it live on Apple.
Wow.
Yeah,
Pretty good. It's a pretty good turnaround.
yes.
I just downloaded it. I made my account. It's very exciting. The animation of the page, swiping between the pages is so smooth. And I love the little loading screen, like the 2 dots or whatever. It's so nice. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And everybody, if you're a regular here, I do love a good gradient. That's a beautiful gradient. It's a beautiful gradient.
That was a tough decision. It took in a month, I think. I went with the colors of Revolut, and then I was like, this looks like Revolut, so change it to like blue sky color to white. Didn't like that. So yeah, it was a hard decision. It looks very academic, like that, very business, like using navy in anything.
I like it. It looks like, I don't know, maybe I'll text my sister. She's still in college. I'll tell her to start using it. Get all the friends on it.
Now, I was targeting Ireland students. So if like your university are running in different, like, I don't know, you're counting the CA or the final exam different, it might not work for your country, because I was targeting Ireland. But fingers crossed it will.
We'll make it work. Hold on. I'm trying to pull up the Google Play link and stuff to share. You do have a question. So we used Syncfusion as the control library. So which of these controls, I guess, were Syncfusion, which weren't? Which ones did you build any custom renderers yourself? The navigation, like all that stuff. What kind of was Syncfusion and what wasn't?
So I used Syncfusion for the calendar, and I used the UI kit for designing like the bar controls, the status bars, the background. The background, it's like actually code. It's like an actual method that it's running every time you click on a page. So I used mostly for the UI design. The sign-in page, the forget password, sign up, everything. It's Syncfusion.
What do
Calendar,
you use
I
for the
think I said that.
animation? Oh, sorry. Go
Sorry?
ahead. I
Sorry?
asked what do you use for the animations, like on that wheel, the GPA wheel.
Well, when you are using these controls from Syncfusion, you have the option to use animation or not. And they have lots of them. I really liked it. I played a lot with them.
Cool. Cool. What else? I just dropped the Google Play and Apple App Store links in the chats everywhere. So you all should see them. I also was just sent in a back channel the .NET Rocks show that
Yep.
you were actually on. So I missed this one. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. I usually catch a good .NET Rocks, but I must have just not seen this one. And this was when? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was, I think we recorded about a month ago, and it was out in the 10th of September. It was such a fun experience.
Cool. I love
love those guys. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, this
was
great.
brilliant. Was
oh
brilliant.
My God.
And
so I guess if people want to listen to you talk about this app more, they can go listen to the .NET Rocks show, and they can also listen later at 1 p.m. Pacific. Do you know what time that's at? .NET Live? .NET Rocks Live?
I know for me it's 10 p.m.
Okay. So 10 p.m. minus 5 is 5 p.m. Eastern minus 3 is 2 p.m. Pacific.
Good math. Good math.
So that's more on the .NET than the Xamarin side of the house. So if you're plugged into the .NET Live, on .NET Live, thank you, James. This is the name of the show.
There you go. So I mean, we've been staring at this My Team screen, and I already Googled Liliana to find her, because we got to get rid of the monkey.
She's a very private person. I don't think she can be found if she doesn't want to.
Good. Well, we know where to find you, so you can get her. You can get her some monkeys and whatnot. But I think it's great that you not only acknowledge all these people, but it's clear that, and I would say from my own experience, very little that I've done in my life by myself was really any good. It always took mentors and designers and other developers pushing and teaching and training. And, having a good community like this is so very valuable. So I think that's great. And I would encourage anybody who's watching to find those people and be those people for others as well. And I don't think I really even need to encourage the Xamarin community very much in that direction, because we just do that, right? We're just like super helpful. Yeah. And I know the Facebook group that you were talking about earlier, I pop in there every now and again. I don't spend much time on Facebook. Facebook's dangerous in the United States during an election period.
Yeah.
Really I use Facebook to connect with other people that they have like same interests like me, like Xamarin, for example. Yeah. So once in a while you find people like Heimel, which is like an amazing person. I mean, he lives somewhere near New Zealand, and he had to wake up at about 5 to answer me questions. So I think that's really, really sweet.
It is. Absolutely.
That is really sweet.
All right. So I have one final question for you, and that's the question that we ask a lot of developers and people that we interview. What do you want to see next from Xamarin and Xamarin.Forms? What were you, when you were developing this app, you're like, oh, I wish I had, or I wish I could do this, and it would be easy. Anything like that come to mind?
I remember struggling at the beginning to find a tutorial for the basics. I did find one on LinkedIn. But until I found that one, I was a little bit scared that I won't have at least a small base to start. I would like that to see more in the online community. Besides that, I think Xamarin's at a very good level at the moment. Now, I didn't have time to experience it exactly as I wanted to. I didn't use the camera. I didn't use any Bluetooth connections or things like that. So I don't know the capacity in there. But for what I've wanted, it went really good.
Okay, interesting. Well, we'll have to follow up with you and kind of maybe you can list out for me what kinds of things you would want in that quick start kind of boot camp course, and then we'll have Maddy build that for us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And how did you like using C#? I mean, you said it was your kind of first foray into that language. Did you like it? Did you feel all the back end power you wanted?
I really liked it. It's very similar to Java, and I have a strong base in Java because of the college, so it was really easy to dive into it. It was just, here and there some differences, but it was really cool. I really liked it. And you can use Java to build Android applications, but like you can use C# to build for more. So that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, there's a bunch of people in the chat saying this is great. This app is brilliant. I just saw. I totally agree. I'm very excited. Yeah, I guess so. We asked before, Theodora said she will stick around for the blogs and PRs. So any more questions you have for her, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will absolutely pause my rambling or Dave's rambling to answer those. So I'm going to take your slides off. Do you have any other slides you want to share?
Just the poster, because I think it's really cool.
Oh, do it. Yes.
Yeah, that's the poster. That's one of my colleagues who finished last year. So that's the poster.
That's so it looks like, I can't believe it was just like a few people who built this. Like you built it, and then you had like a graphic design person, I don't know. It's so cool.
And she wouldn't have graduated without this app, right? Is that the story of the poster?
She wished she was finishing a little bit later so she can use the app because she's a graduate already. I would just like to make a note. If you're a developer and you're working on personal projects, please reach out, people, because there's so friendly people out there and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So yeah, just do it in a team. It's so much fun.
I love it. Good.
Wow, good lessons today. We need to have more like community guests come in and share their wisdom. Usually it's just like we all just ramble, but this is way better. All right, I took your slides off, so you can also stop sharing your screen and go back to whatever, tweeting, texting. If you have a Twitter and you want me to put it in the chat, let me know too. I'm gonna put my screen up. That's my Teams. Don't look at it. I think I was messaging James that it wasn't live, and then I fixed it. So I'm going to paste these in the chat. The URL list. Every month we compile the latest and greatest blogs and PRs from the Xamarin community. I'll also put this up on the screen. Very exciting. We've got not a ton of blogs this month. The past couple months, there has been like way too many blogs. So I looked this month and I was like, oh, thank goodness. I think people in the US, kids go back to school. I think in other parts of the world, everyone's just and have to look through like five bajillion blogs, which is great. But this guy's familiar. Who's this guy? What's going on with Xamarin.Forms 5, Dave?
What is going on with it? So you kind of went robot there for a second, but I caught most of everything you said. So Xamarin.Forms 5 preview is out. So this is the next major version and stable release that we've been baking for quite a while. And so what this is bringing all those preview experimental features to stable release. Over the course of all the 4. Series, you've been experiencing these things. And so we want to make sure that they meet your expectations. The reason we put them into experimental is so we can get your feedback. And here we go. There are a couple of new things in there, but you're going to get your shapes and your gradients. You're going to get your brushes, your paths, clipping of images, and any control, really, clipping. You're also going to get radio button with control templates, which is really a kind of a key distinct change that we're making to enable more and more templating. You've also got, swipe views in there, carousel view is in there, all coming to stable release. Now, the one thing that, or a couple of things that I'll mention to make sure everybody is fully aware of is that there are a handful of things that are still evolving and growing. And in order to give them the space to evolve and grow, we're going to move them to the Community Toolkit. So the Xamarin Community Toolkit, which I'll be highlighting in some of the PRs, is going to have media element. It already has the expander control, C# UI extensions, which are continuing to grow and evolve and be enhanced, are going to be ending up there as well. And so that's where we're at with the features and controls of what's shipping. And then the last thing I'll mention is there are some breaking changes in this major version. Specifically, master detail page has been deprecated as a name, and we're now using flyout page. And then we are also, we've removed UI web view completely. That's the big one, because so many people open issues and reports. And I don't know, Theodora, if you had this particular problem with Apple when you submitted your app, but they will warn you and say, hey, you can't have UI web view in your app anymore because we're like banning it. Did you have that problem?
No, I was reading before their requirements, so I went around.
You went around it. Good. Well, some folks didn't see the notice, and so you would get this really scary warning from Apple. And the thing is UI web view has been deprecated in Xamarin.Forms for quite a while, and we use the WK web view. But because it's just present in the assembly at all, it gets flagged by their review process. And so in order to just get away from this whole problem altogether, it's no longer in Xamarin.Forms 5. If you need it, don't do that, Maddy.
I know.
If you need it,
I popped it back up. The notification was driving me nuts.
Oh, gotcha. If you do need UI web view, the source code is still in the repository. You just copy that file and bring it into your application, and you can continue on. If you have an internal app or something like that, then you don't need to worry about Apple's deprecations and warnings. So yeah, so the preview is out. Please take a look at it. Upgrade your apps. Let us know what kinds of issues you have. There is also a bump to the Android SDK minimum, or the target framework that you're building with. So you'll need to build with 10 instead of 9. Most projects are now, or most installs, I think, are coming with 10, I hope. We're making sure that future versions of Visual Studio, when they do the installations, get you up to that place on Windows and on Mac. But just be aware of that. Just go change that to 10, and you should be building and up and going again. So yeah, check out the post.
Sweet.
A lot of details, a lot of links, a lot of details. Oh, and we also had a ton of community reviewers get involved over the past couple of months. Nick Randolph kind of rallied some folks, and we had some others that joined in. Pedro has been all over both the Community Toolkit and the Xamarin.Forms repo, helping to review things, helping get some PRs in. So huge thanks to those folks. Speaking about community and just the helpfulness, that's been a really, really nice boost for the team to see that. So thank you.
I think you didn't mention the most important part of this is that this app needs to be updated because they added Minecraft characters to Smash today.
Oh, is that right? Okay. All right.
So very exciting. Yeah. Really, I have the important information, as I can tell. What else has been going on? And Dave has some PRs. He'll share it after we do the rest of these blogs too. So more goodies to come for Xamarin.Forms land. Whitney wrote a blog post about iOS 14 and Xcode 12. So Apple did their fall Apple event when they're like, okay, all the stuff we showed you in the summer is done now. Here you go. And sure enough, we were ready to roll. There's a couple cool new things in iOS 14 and Xcode 12. There's a lot of styling things, but of course, widgets. Widgets are a big deal. So we're doing a hybrid application model where you can kind of like embed a widget built with Swift into your Xamarin iOS application. So you get all of the widget goodness, and of course some more things here. But there's some get started links. There's the docs. Check it out. Very exciting stuff. We love our same-ish day support. Apple was really quick this year. Usually they give us like a week. So we're like, okay, we have a week. Like everything's ready to roll, push all the buttons. And then I think this year it was like 24 hours. And everyone was like, ah! So we did it. We did a great job.
In the SDKs, we're ready. The team did an amazing job turning around the Gold Master from Apple and generating the installs for the SDK. But then we go through a QA process and a Visual Studio release process,
right?
Which you can't rush that stuff because that's a big deal.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was out the following Monday. which was still well below the 1 week that Apple usually gives.
Right.
So big thanks to all the tooling teams, the Visual Studio team, the SDK teams for getting all that stuff out.
Yeah, it's incredible. It takes a village, just like building an app, dealing with Xcode and iOS and Android bumps too. I saw Blounty in the chat, Alex. If you're hanging out still, you might have seen it at Ignite last week. Microsoft Ignite happened. There was a call out in one of Satya's talks to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, otherwise known as the Academy Awards / the Oscars. Otherwise known as when they read the wrong recipient on that card once, but not actually, that wasn't our fault. But we have an app that we've built. Their whole, I don't know, Blunty, I don't know if you want to send any details in the chat. I can put it up, but they have done all of their event management and profile management and nomination management via .NET and Xamarin. So the way that people vote pretty much on, what should win, or, understand who can vote on what should win, that's all with .NET and Xamarin. So very exciting stuff. And they've worked really closely with our mobile customer advisor team run by Alex Blount and Sweeky, you might know from some talks. Dean, there's a whole bunch of people. They're all great. They're all amazing. And they've all worked on this, kind of helping them out. So sweet. All right. That's enough of the Xamarin blogs. Done with our first party dev blog stuff. Async await. Luis, I love you, man. Every single time with the notifications. Every single time. I love it. Async await and task best practices. So Theodora, I don't know if you got hung up on async await at any point. I know this is one of those things that when you were saying you built it until it worked and then you fixed it later, this is absolutely how I handle everything async await. So I found this was a pretty good blog. It's split up into reasonable, digestible sections. Love the good content menu. And it's got some plugins and extensions at the bottom too that can kind of help you, get started or plug that into your app as well. So definitely check this out if you, like me, chose just to not learn it and instead Google it every time. Ooh, love this one. Quickest way to clean temp files and directories in Xamarin projects. So you might have heard in a Xamarin.Forms post, maybe delete bin obj. That usually means that you've built your project so many times that there might be some files lying around somewhere that aren't actually useful anymore. Sometimes they get in the way, but it's pretty easy to go clean those things. So git clean. You're going to set some stuff up in your git ignore. It's going to be great. Super easy. Way easier than right click, open in folder explorer or whatever, going in, finding the files, delete. No, much easier. And then you can restore back your NuGets or your NuJs or your NuGets. I've seen a lot of Twitter arguments on how to pronounce NuGet lately. It's NuGet, like the dessert.
Do you have to say it 3 times?
And then all of a sudden,
like Beetlejuice,
a PM from the NuGet team appears. Where's John Douglas when you need him? So, can I share this article? Yes. So they are all in this set of URLs. Just share it again. Bam. Should be good. All right. Leah Maurice has moved onto the Telerik blog. She used to blog on her own blog, and now she's doing a lot on Telerik. This is a really cool, easy to read. I like this almost better than I like our docs. Sorry, James. But for Xamarin Essentials, just getting device and display information. And she kind of takes apart all the different things that you might need to know about a device and explains what they're returned to you as. It's basically a readable API spec. So, I'm highlighting. Go away. Okay. So instead of just looking at the API spec and being like, blah, 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 she actually explains them to you, which is nice for people like me who skim the doc, forget everything, go back, skim it again. Anyways. I wanted to bring this up. Omni-talented, I believe Alex. Yes. Hello, Alex, if you're here. I brought up Laconic last month. It's an MVU C# style library for Xamarin.Forms, and it is now on NuGet. So thought I would call that out. You're welcome to go try this. I know we've talked a lot about MVU and C# UI and all this stuff. since build, and there are all these things that people are talking about in our community. So if you're interested in maybe getting a feel for it, this is one of the multiple ways you can do that. Bam. Ooh. All right. So love MVVM, love MVVM cross, love custom things. The thing I like about this article the most, and this is a pretty long article, Dennis, I believe, wrote this, and it basically builds custom renders for these pop-ups to do the login pages. The thing I love the most about this is the fact that he says the reason he did this instead of doing it the cheap way, which is what I would have done, is because it's easier to test. And I love people who actually plan to test things. So this is a really good example of kind of integrating MVVM cross with custom renderers and getting your brain wrapped around that in a very concise way. So definitely worth a scroll through or a read or a GitHub peruse, whatever you're into. You can see it's a beautiful login flow. And then
test was not what I thought you were going to say, Maddy. I thought you were going to say the gradient in the header.
Oh, you mean?
So Theodora, did you write any tests for your app?
Just manual testing.
Yep. Amen. That's the way I go.
Yeah, that's what I do. They say that's not the right thing to do, but it's never failed me so far. So, all right, last one. Love good Sharpnado blog on Community Standup. Xamarin.Forms shadows leaks. So there was some stuff going on with the collection view and adding shadows to things. Look at all these shadows, so pretty. Wow. There was some like memory leak or something somewhere. This is another long blog. I love Sharpnado blogs. I highlight them often on here, but this one in particular had me laughing because I was reading it and I was like, I don't understand any of this, and then I got to the picture. So, a picture of Shane Newville, an engineer on the Xamarin.Forms team.
I have not seen this.
How have you not seen this? This is the best thing. Our friend here, Sharpnado, has been in the Discord. Apparently the link I posted is dead. So Dave, if you have the right link, I always forget it. It's not a plane. It's not a bird. It's not a flying risk architecture. It's Shane, man. Here to help explain how collection view works and why it does the things it does. So I'm not going to go much into this blog. I needed everybody to see this picture. I needed it to be on the internet, and everyone can go read this blog on your own time because it's great. It's very thorough. Talks about our lovely .NET Discord, which you can join and talk to the team. And you can also listen to Shane ramble in some screenshots, which I think is fantastic. So, Dave, I hope you got a screenshot of that so you can send it to the team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oof is right. But that's it. That's it for the blogs. So, Dave, let me know when you want me to flip over. I see you also have Shane Man on your screen right now.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. All right. I'm going to flip this one off. Bam.
The thing is, it's so true, is that he is the guy that you get stuck on something, you need something explained. He's one of my first calls. Oh, yeah. He always comes through, so it's fantastic. Whew. All right, let me recover. So I'm going to spend most of the time focusing here on the Xamarin Community Toolkit to bring your awareness to it, and also to hopefully energize you to go spend a little Hacktoberfest fun over on that repository, because Xamarin.Forms is where we usually direct people during Hacktoberfest. But because we're in migration mode into the new .NET MAUI era of things, and we've kind of put a freeze on new features, we want to have a place to go, and the Xamarin Community Toolkit is that. So big shout out here to Andrew. Andrew had put in a PR, a really extensive, deep PR to do native platform pop-ups in Xamarin.Forms. And it wasn't quite ready to go at the time that we kind of cut off features in Xamarin.Forms. And so the team reached out to Andrew and met with him and said, hey, can we bring this to the Community Toolkit? So he's been working on doing that. And in the process of doing that, we're making some updates, and he's contributing an update here to open up more of the APIs in the Xamarin.Forms API so that the toolkit can take more advantage of the platform stuff. So love seeing that. And I mentioned earlier that Pedro has been very active on all of these repositories lately, and probably for a while. And so here's another one where we're making more things public so that the community toolkit can take further advantage of what's in Xamarin.Forms. So this is great because really, especially over the next year, but into the future, we're going to be promoting more and pushing more things into the toolkit. That's a place where you need to be, where you want to be. And as you'll see here, I'll highlight some of the controls and things. You're gonna want this. So it's going to become vital to your projects. Dan last night, and he told me on Twitter this morning, or told us all, that he doesn't do PRs for swag. He does it out of the goodness of his heart. Thank you, Dan. But he's added this Gravatar image source, which I think is brilliant. And this is over in the community toolkit. And so what this is you plug in your email address and it will go to Gravatar, the service, and pull whatever profile image you have set for that, or whatever profile image the user set for that. And if they don't have one, then it will fall back to the default. This is fantastic. I have used Gravatar in many apps that I've done, and I always end up having to code the URLs myself. And it would be just awesome to have this as an image source to plug into my app. So I love it, Dan. This is great. Got some PRs here from Javier. Javier is on the Xamarin.Forms team, but he does so many amazing things outside of the day-to-day work, and they need a place to land. So one of those is the shield. The shield is the image that you see here. And so you can easily new that up, bind it, and you've got a shield you can add to your apps. So it's a simple UI. You could probably compose a couple of layouts and labels to do it. But this is a standardized, kind of design, and you can use that. So that's really cool. The next one, very similar, badge views. And these badges can be put on anything. And in addition to what you see here, we have a tab view, or Javier has, and we will be putting them into the community toolkit. A tab view, which is tabs you can put anywhere. We're going to integrate that with Shell so that you can have full templating and styling capabilities instead of the headache that is the UI tab bar controller and the other native controls. And then as well, an app bar, and all of those will support badges as well. So very cool stuff there. When you need a badge and you can't get to the thing you want to put a badge on, it's a pain. Camera view is something that's been sitting in the PRs of Xamarin.Forms for a while and was originally written by one of our team, but had never quite made it all the way in because it's a lengthy, large PR. But hey, it's in the community toolkit now. So really excited to see that this has found a home and we can all start taking advantage of this. I have probably written half a dozen apps that are camera-based apps, and having to copy into my platform projects the code to access camera APIs and to save images and things like that it's a hassle. So I love having a cross-platform option that I can drop into my apps and get all the bits that I need to get. So definitely check that out. And I don't know exactly who this is, but thank you for doing this PR. I really appreciate it. And the last one that I'll mention here is Snack Bar. I've seen Vladislav on the repo doing quite a few things, contributing and reviewing. So this particular one is a Snack Bar. Snack Bar is that little pop-up that you can throw at the bottom, or I guess maybe even locate it to the top of your screen, kind of like a popover, but usually for small notifications and things like that. So that's another convenient thing to have in here. And there's a whole host of other things in here. I've got actually this screen. Can I go full screen with that? Does that work? Yeah, it does. Cool. So Gerald and the team chose a logo. I don't know who the final designer of this logo was. Does anybody, Maddy, do you remember who was chosen as the winner? No.
I don't, but I love it.
Yeah. So there was a whole process. People contributed some ideas, and then this is the one that was chosen. I love it because it's simple. The Xamarin tells you it's a Xamarin thing. The Xamarin is oriented properly. It's not turned incorrectly, as some people do.
That's true. As in Xamarin Gate.
Yeah, exactly. We get serious. We get serious about the Xamagons. Xamagons and monkeys. You don't mess with these things. Sacred.
Yeah, no way.
But you can see here from the screen all the wonderful things that are already in. And I'm not even listing everything. Converters, there's a converter for everything. And if there's not one, hey, that's a Hacktoberfest PR you can make. Add your converter. That's not even a lot of code. The review will take 2 seconds. Get yourself that Hacktoberfest t-shirt. I don't know about you, but without going out to conferences all the time, I'm running low on shirts. I've gained a little around the middle. My conference shirts were like mediums. Now I kind of need some larges. So just saying, these are priorities. So there you go. That's what's happening. Go to the Xamarin Community Toolkit, find yourself something to do, look in your projects, find that useful thing that you copy from one project to the next. That's probably the thing that would be really good to have in the Community Toolkit. If there's a class, a pattern that you copy from one project to the next, that's it. So cool. That's what I got, Maddy. And guess what? We're at the top of the hour.
Right on time. Perfect. Well, that was great. Any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll take a minute, let you roll in. But Theodora, thank you so much for joining. Enjoy on.net later this evening. You have a late night. I hope you have a good snack or drink to hold you over.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Again, it doesn't feel real. I need to pinch myself.
No, that was
you're a pro at this. You're absolutely a pro.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
doing great.
We'll have to start getting you in at some of the virtual conferences coming up soon, too.
Please do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the October events blog isn't up yet, but I'll make sure I put that on Twitter or whatever when it is. So if you're looking for events this month, I know there's quite a few conferences all over the place. There's Monkey Fest, and there's some other ones.
Xamarin Expert Day is tomorrow.
Xamarin Expert Day.
And that will be, I believe, broadcast on YouTube for sure, and maybe some other places. So Tobias and Gerald and others can let you know exactly where you can consume that stuff. I know that Clancy has a session at the beginning. I have a session at the end, which is actually my morning. So I guess it helps that I'm here and Clancy's in Alaska. But there's so many other conferences coming up. There's the .NET 2020 in Europe. There's MonkeyConf Spain. There's MonkeyConf US. Monkeys everywhere.
So nice. I will be there as much as I can. I'm in my final year, so I must miss.
Yeah, you have to study. You have to get your degree.
You got to plan your wedding too. Plan that wedding.
Yeah, I do.
That too.
Thank you so much again, guys. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope we keep in touch. Would be very nice.
We will. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We will see you next month.
Cool.
Bye.
Ciao.